But Ian, what are you hearing as far as Josh Hart's status?
Shortly after the injury, I was hearing that, it's not something to be overly concerned about. And the idea was that he'd be there for opening night. And that was from multiple people who were around the team when he did get the injury. But I don't know. Now he's not practicing. He's not taking contact. Maybe he hasn't been cleared for contact, and that's concerning. Josh Hart, obviously a gamer. I just assumed that he would be back by now based on what I had heard in the aftermath of that back injury. But, you have to question whether you're going to have him Wednesday and how bad that injury actually is, because if it was as minor as it was described in the aftermath, he would have been practicing by now and scrimmaging by now at the very least. So maybe it's a game of possum here that the Knicks are playing with Josh Hart and with the Cavs, and he'll be out there and he'll be ready to go Wednesday. But the idea that he is not not scrimmaging, not taking contact at this point is concerning.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's a little bit more serious than we might think, but hopefully this injury doesn't linger. Switching gears to Mitchell Robinson, Ian, Mike Brown repeatedly says that the Knicks are operating under a workload management mindset with Mitch. He's unsure if he will play on Wednesday against the Cavs. What's your reaction on him potentially missing from the starting rotation, and what impact do you think that'll have on the Knicks?
Yeah, it's a mixed reaction because on one hand, the workload management, it makes sense, right? Robinson, given his injury history, he should be managed closely, and you should, hold him out of games even when he's healthy over the course of the regular season, because the goal is to have him healthy for the playoffs when you've seen the kind of impact he can make. He can wreck a game, he can wreck a series. But the idea that your plan for workload management includes him maybe not playing Wednesday. Again, this could be gamesmanship from the Knicks, but I know Robinson, was dealing with some discomfort earlier in the preseason. Knicks are saying that he's not hurt, and it's workload management, and the plan should be for him to play Wednesday without a doubt. But maybe the Knicks want to keep everybody guessing, keep the Cavs guessing. It would be strange though if this whole plan, as you're managing his workload, included him not playing the first game of the season. That would be bizarre.
Yeah. No, for sure. And of course, the fans want to see him out there. Like he provides just such a spark for the Knicks. So hopefully we'll see him out there sooner rather than later. Let's talk about some roster moves that the Knicks have made over the past few days, Ian. They made their final roster moves on Saturday after veteran Malcolm Brogdon announced his retirement. I mean, I was completely shocked by that news. What's your reaction to Brogdon, calling it?
Yeah, I think the Knicks were surprised too because Brogdon was in serious contention for a roster spot up until that point where he announced his retirement. Now, nothing was decided at that point. I saw a couple reports saying that he was going to make the roster. That's not accurate. There was no decision made on Brogdon definitively making the roster at the time of his retirement, but certainly he was a part of the plans. And whether he would have made it or not, we'll never know. But certainly a shock for the Knicks. And now they have to pivot to plan B in terms of the backup point guard role. What do you do? Do you do it by committee? Miles McBride, Jordan Clarkson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart. None of those guys are traditional ball handlers, which is what you were hoping to get in Malcolm Brogdon, and you were hoping to keep Jalen Brunson's minutes down around 34, 35. Just how does this impact Jalen Brunson's workload over the course of the season, and how does it impact your second unit? I would think that at some point, if things are not going swimmingly, Knicks would be aggressive in looking to the point guard market to try to acquire a backup. One name that came up recently because he was waived by Charlotte was Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't think there's a lot there. People have been asking about the Knicks and Dinwiddie. Don't think there's a lot there at the moment. So I don't think Dinwiddie will be that answer for them ultimately, but certainly something to keep an eye on early in this season.
For sure, because I know the Knicks also were, hoping for some experience as far as that backup point guard spot is concerned. So Malcolm Brogdon retires. Landry Shamet earns the final roster spot, edging out Alex Len, Matt Ryan, and Garrison Matthews. Why did they make this decision?
I think Landry had a big fan in Mike Brown. And then you go back to last season, I think he had a lot of fans in the organization for how he handled himself with the shoulder injury, coming back from it, not playing a ton, getting minutes in that Indiana series and impacting the game. And so I think there was always momentum for Landry Shamet to make one of these spots that the Knicks had available, assuming he didn't get hurt and there wasn't any other major injuries where you had to address the position. I think he was always on the inside track here. It was just a matter of would the Knicks have to make a trade to include a Malcolm Brogdon, and obviously they didn't end up having to do that. So they trust Shamet. Shamet really popular in the locker room and just fits for a number of different reasons. And again, Mike Brown thinks highly of Shamet, and we'll see what that means for minutes and the rotation and all that. But I was not all that surprised that Shamet was kept and Garrison Matthews was waived. But I will say this. Knicks were really impressed with Matthews, and I think if they had the opportunity financially to keep Matthews and Shamet, I think they would have done it. They just can't do that because of the second apron and where they are financially.